Hey guys, we need to talk about the Chicago Bears and a bombshell article that was put out by Kahler of ESPN that pretty much blows the lid off of the mystery of what has gone wrong with the Bears. We now, in my opinion, definitively know what the issues with the Chicago Bears and their coaching hiring, to be exact, are. And I'm going to detail those here in just a second. First of all, like and subscribe. And I'm going to do another video on the coaching search. I'm going to give you some of my top candidates. And as you know, Ben Johnson is at the top of the list. That hasn't changed. But there have been some things that have happened, including the possibility of Mike McCarthy becoming the next Bears head coach. And then there's another coordinator candidate that I do want to talk about. Actually, a few of them that I want to talk about that I do think could have some success with the Bears and could be the sign of the Bears turning over a new leaf and moving on from this dark time period that they find themselves under. So I mentioned Kalyn in this article. She did a deep dive on the influence of certain super agents, especially when it comes to the coaching circuit. And one of those agents that I mentioned who represents a lot of coaches, Trace Armstrong of Athletes First, one of the top 6 or 7 agents in the country when it comes to representing coaches. So Kalyn does this deep dive, and apparently the NFL realized that there have been a lot of package deals, meaning agents getting their client a head coaching job, and then either that head coach hiring an offensive coordinator, or agents getting a general manager a job and then having that general manager hire one of their clients as a head coach. Now, was Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus a package deal? It's very much a possibility at this point, and I kind of discussed that in one of the videos that I did. So I want to give you this excerpt from Kalyn's article that, to me, just connects all the dots and removes all doubt from what has ailed the Chicago Bears. And this is a source, another agent, talking about Trace Armstrong and the fact that the Bears kept hiring Trace Armstrong clients. Matt Eberflus was a Trace Armstrong client. Matt Nagy, also. Shane Waldron, Luke Getsy, turns out Mark Helfrich, the former offensive coordinator under Matt Nagy, was a Trace Armstrong client. Ryan Poles, a Trace Armstrong client. So some quotes that came from this article. I've never seen one agent have so much influence on one team with so little success. But they keep going back and taking his guys, said one coaching agent who requested anonymity to speak freely on the topic. And we all kind of shake our heads like, have they not figured it out yet? So there you have it. An agent out there, a coaching agent, saying the Bears especially keep going back to the well with Trace Armstrong, a former Bears player. I've mentioned this before. He has a really good relationship with the organization. He played for the organization. He's a teammate of Ron Rivera, and now he's his agent. So I'm not besmirching him for this, but clearly you have the Bears going back and time again, no matter how many times it fails, to this one agent. Now, you may ask yourself, well, why exactly were they doing that? And I think that this excerpt is going to give you exactly the reason why they keep going back to Trace Armstrong. Quote, Armstrong had more influence with the Bears than any other team, a coaching agent said. That's because he was dealing with an accountant that really didn't know football people, and he took advantage of that, and I give him credit for that. Who is he speaking of? He is speaking of former Bears team president Ted Phillips, who retired in 2022 after serving 40 years with the franchise, including 24 as team president. So, since 2011, George McCaskey has been the CEO of the Bears, and he's had team president Ted Phillips for most of his time, up until recently when Ted Phillips retired in 2022. Now he has Kevin Warren by his side. So in that time period, since George McCaskey had taken over in 2011, and it obviously goes back before then, you have George McCaskey, a former state attorney, and an accountant in Ted Phillips, like, oh, God, I don't know what's going on. I don't know football. Agent Trace, you used to play with us. Bring us your best football people. And how else do we know this? Well, whenever these coaching searches come up, like in 2013, they fired their head coach Mark Trestman and their general manager Phil Emery. They hired former general manager, who was a general manager for several different teams during his time, Ernie Accorsi, as a consultant to run the coaching and general manager search. Now, fast forward to 2022, when they were replacing Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy, they hired former Colts general manager Bill Polian to run their coaching and general manager search. Why did they do that? Because they don't know football. They have no clue what they're doing. None at all. They couldn't tell you what a halfback dive versus a shotgun pass is. They don't know football. And so you have the state attorney and the accountant hiring these former general managers to run the search for them who aren't in the building. And they're telling them, fix this building that you're not in every day. Go out and find the right person to fix this building when you have no clue what ails the building. And then you go to your former player, who's now an agent, and say, who are your football people? Bring them in. And that agent's going to tell you all the good stuff that you want to hear about their clients. And I'm not saying that Trace Armstrong doesn't have... in fact, Joe Brady in this coaching cycle is one of his clients. He has a lot of clients. But specifically when it comes to the Chicago Bears, you had George McCaskey and Ted Phillips since 2011 not having any clue who to hire because they don't know football. Do they like football? That's another debate for another day. And they defer entirely to these consultants who are former football executives who may be a little bit at the end of the line, which is also an issue. But the main issue is that they're former football executives who don't know the building. They don't know what is wrong with the Chicago Bears specifically because they're not in Hallis Hall every day. So this is a mask-off moment, really, for the entire organization. And I can't help but think, remember when Ben Johnson was saying he wanted organizational alignment and he wanted an organization to admit to him what has gone wrong in the past and what they're going to do to fix it? Well, this is what's gone wrong in the past. So the question that I'll leave you with is, what are they going to do to fix it? And that we're going to find out through this coaching search. And now Ted Phillips is gone. And Kevin Warren, the former commissioner of the Big Ten, comes into the building as he has some experience in the NFL before. He's been in the building now for a year. What can he do to help steer this coaching search in the right direction? They're interviewing 18 people. They're putzing around. Look, if they end up with the right candidate at the end of the day, more power to them. But this hire is going to be so interesting because this article, to me, just blew the lid off of everything. Completely mask off for the entire organization and how they've done business for the better part of the last 2.5, 3 decades. All right, guys. It's been great. I'll talk to you later.